Hi guys, so last week what we did was we looked at the equation of a line. Remember, equation of a line means I have a slope, which is my m, and I have my y-intercept, which is my b. So my b is where does a line cross over the y-axis? And my slope is from that point on the y-axis, how far up or down do I go? Remember, slope is the change in y over how far left or right do I go? My change in x. So let's just look at this. We can draw this line. So first thing we have to do is look at the b part. The b part comes after the x. I put a point on the y-axis at -1. Then this part tells me my slope. So this is telling me a +3 means go up 3. A +4 means go right 4. So I'm going to start at my point on the y-axis and go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go over to the right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I put my other point right there. And then I draw my line between my first point and my second point. And that's how I draw my line from an equation of a line. Now let's do the opposite. Let's look at a line. And in fact, we're just going to use the same exact line that we just came up with. And we're going to write the equation just by looking at this line. Okay? So let's just keep y equals mx plus b up here. So we know the equation of a line is y equals mx plus b. We have to fill in, by looking at this line, we have to fill in just the slope and just the y-intercept. So I'm going to look at this line. I need to come up with a number for this and a number for this. Everything else stays the same. The y stays the same, the equal sign stays the same, the x stays the same. I don't change or look for a number. I need to find a slope from looking at this line, and I need to find where does it cross over the y-axis. That's what goes here. Okay, so let's first find where it crosses over the y-axis. That's what this b means. So I look on my y-axis and I go down the y-axis until I find out where the line hits it. The line hits it right here at -1, so I put a -1 there. And now I have to figure out what my slope is of this line. So remember, there's two ways you can figure out slope, right? You can figure out what the ordered pair is and subtract them. So I could do 4 over 4, 2. That's my first ordered pair. Take away -1 and 0. I could subtract them. 2 take away 0 is 2. 4 take away a -1 is 5. So last week we looked at an equation of a line. Let's say we had y equals 3/4 x minus 3. And we looked at it and we said, okay, the m is the slope and the slope is the change in y, how far up and down on the y-axis did you go, and then over the change in the x, how far left and right on the x-axis did you go. And then we had this point right here, this b, which is where does the line cross over the y-axis, right? So this line right here, I can look at this and I can make a line. I know I'm going to start on the y-axis at -3. And then I know from that -3, I'm going to go up 3 over 4. So right there is my second point, and then I would just draw a line through them both. That's my line from this equation, y equals 3/4 x minus 3. But now what we're going to do is we're just going to look at the line. We're just going to look at the line and come up with the equation. We're going to look at the line and come up with the equation. So let's delete our equation. Let's put our line back. And let's look at that line and find our slope and find our y-intercept. So we're going to look first for our b. It's helpful if you just make this and leave a blank for the b and the m. So I left a blank for the m, I left a blank for the b, because those are the two things we're going to find. First thing I want to find is my b. Where does it cross over the y-axis? I just look on the y-axis. It crosses over right here at -3. And now I figure out what my slope is. So I go from one point to the next. How far? Make your triangle. Remember, you can find slope by making your triangle. So I want you guys to make a triangle. I went up 1, 2, 3. Remember, it's the change in y over the change in x. So the y number goes on top, the up-down number goes on top, and then the x change. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. My slope is 3. Oh, why did I write a 3? My slope is 3/4. So now you're going to go ahead and you're going to look at your line that you have. You're going to find two crosshair points, make a triangle. You're going to write y equals, leave a blank, put your x, and then leave a blank, and this is for your b. And then you're going to find out, okay, where does your line cross over the y-axis? This line crossed over at -3. And then you're going to go in and find your m, or your slope. So make a triangle from one point to the next. Your up-down number goes on the top of your fraction. Your left-right number goes on the bottom of your fraction. You've just created an equation of a line, y equals 3/4 x minus 3, just by looking at a line.